Do you want to be governor at some point?
I haven't thought that far. Obviously, I wanted to go to the U.S. Senate, and most recently, but after observing some of the people in the U.S. Senate, I got to know up there in Washington, run back and forth across the street to vote a bunch of times a day. And when they weren't doing that, all they were doing was raising money. I think I've been disabused of my desire to go to Washington and be in the United States Senate. I don't know. I don't put anything on or off the table. It's probably, you go through a decision process like the one I just went through, and you learn a lot about yourself. Each campaign teaches you a lot about yourself, and I think I've learned that my skill set and my personality is more suited for an executive position in Kentucky state government than it would be to a legislative position. I learned that about myself. But no, this is an announcement that I'm running for re-election as Attorney General.
When did you make the final decision that we're going to have this press conference today, and that yes, you are running again? When was that final decision?
Maybe Tuesday.
Now, you tangled with the
I think that's about it, somewhere there. I mean, it was.
You tangled with the Tea Party once, and it didn't come out the best for you. One issue that we can expect to come up in this election is your decision not to file suit with to join in the Florida suit over health care. How much of a role do you think that will play in your re-election, and do you think it hurts you?
I'll leave it to the pundits to decide whether or not that hurts or helps. My record, what I said during the Senate campaign, is pretty clear that I didn't think that was a perfect bill that needed to be changed in many respects, but that 654,000 Kentuckians would get access to health care for the first time, and children would be covered until the age of 26. People wouldn't be denied based on pre-existing conditions, and that on balance that would have guided my vote had I been in the U.S. Senate. What I said in relation to not joining the lawsuit is that I took a look at it legally. And I think that ultimately it'll be upheld. And obviously it's a politically charged issue, and I think ultimately it's a decision for our elected representatives through the political process in Washington to decide what national health care legislation looks like. And traditionally the Office of the Attorney General has had about 250 employees. Now we're down to about 190 full-time equivalents. I mean, these budget cuts have been significant. And I had to make a decision without fear or favor, without regard to partisan politics, about whether or not I wanted to dedicate the resources, the very limited resources right now, of the Office of the Attorney General to appellate brief writing and taking a leadership role in something like that. And ultimately, I decided that obviously it's going to get briefed, it's going to get decided anyway, and given our budget scenario, I did not want to spend the taxpayer resources in this office in that fashion, not when I have a cybercrime unit that needs assistance, when we have cases to prosecute, when we need to stand up for the ratepayers of Kentucky, so I decided not to do it. Now, keep in mind, I've got other AGs who are filing briefs in support of the health care litigation, okay? I have an opportunity to join them as well. I've declined to join them. So it's not just that I haven't joined the, 14 now that are down in district court in Florida. So not only have I joined Sue, I'm not going to join on those in support of it. I'm going to leave that to the federal courts. I'm going to leave it to the Congress of the United States in Washington to do what they think needs to be done on health care. But I'm just not going to waste the resources of this office on that particular issue. And in order to undo it, you've got to, one thing I was mindful of, you've got to look at some of the case law that upheld Social Security and Medicare, and I wasn't willing to go there.
Jack, you mentioned the phrase, you didn't know you had the gas in the tank for
yeah.
another campaign.
Yeah.
I'm curious about having a stomach for it as well after the last year and a half, and given the rough and tumble nature of the Senate campaign. I'm just curious about your thoughts on that for your family and for yourself, and what's
yeah, I've run a tough race for Congress. I've run a pretty tough race to get elected as Attorney General, and then obviously a bruising primary, and then a bruising general election last year. And the one thing that did enter my mind is, that Senate race was 2009 and 2010, and I was running in 2007, so this is going to make 4 of the last 5 years that I've been a statewide candidate. That means raising money and traveling, and I've never known being a father while not also being a statewide candidate, and all the time constraints that requires. So I did think about it, and I obviously talked it over with my wife. I talked it over with my parents. I'm not so concerned about me. I got some rest over the holidays, and I think physically, I'm not worried about me physically. Physically, I actually feel better now than I felt in probably 3 years. But my family, I was a little concerned about them. It's always toughest on the family. I mean, people are going to come at me, people are going to say things about me, and when you're in this line of work, I know what the truth is. I know how to defend myself, and I know there are a lot of people out there who support me, and I'm not going to take all of my naysayers to heart. But it's always toughest on the family, and so I did have to talk the issue over to my family and make certain they were all okay with it. And I've got a wonderful family. And I think they know how much I care about the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I think they know how concerned I am about the fact that our workforce in some areas is too dependent on prescription pills, that we need to become a more educated state, that if we're going to take the steps forward that I think we can take in the state, then we have to have people who are willing to make sacrifices. And I'm willing to make that sacrifice in 2011.
Regardless of where they came from or the accuracy of the rumors that you were thinking about not running, are you concerned that the fact they were out there and the length of time that it took to file, that you might get primary opposition?
No, just because I knew the universe of the 3 or 4 people that might file if I didn't, and they knew that I was likely to file for re-election, but that I was considering something. I was in contact with most of them, and I don't know. I still may get primary opposition. But
have you talked to those people that you talked to before you made
yeah, they
the
all
decision?
they've
And
known
they've
my
all
decision.
indicated they won't.
Oh yeah, they will indicate.
If you don't get primary, you know Mr. People, or?
I don't know. I don't know him at all. I don't know that. I may have met him at one of the prosecutors' conferences. I work pretty closely with the county and Commonwealth attorneys through PAC. I've never known him to really be out front on county attorney issues. I really don't know him.
Did you poll on this to make the?
No. I
Is
didn't.
it-
Have you done any polling on the race?
No.